This is KMTR News Oregon, reported by Kathy Randall and Al Peterson. Sports with Brian Lamb and weather with meteorologist Pete Parsons.
Good evening and welcome to the late edition of KMTR News Oregon. In tonight's news, Springfield police tonight say they've cracked the murder case of a 19-year-old woman whose body was found June 1st near Haydenbridge Road. 2 local men are in custody and are expected to be charged in the strangulation death of Melissa Ann Meyer. The men were arrested last night in an eastern Arizona town where they are currently awaiting extradition. Maureen Shine has the latest.
The arrests were made last night in a Show Low, Arizona motel, less than 2 weeks after the body of 19-year-old Melissa Ann Meyer was discovered on this hillside near the E-Web filtration plant in Springfield. 2 Springfield police detectives made the arrest without incident in the East Central community of 10,000. Chief Rob Dupree says the arrests were made with the help of Show Low police.
And they're arrested Jason Wayne Rose, who is 20 years old with no current address, and John Ray Jones, who's 17 years old. His last known address was 2145 North 31st in Springfield.
Dupree says the suspects are being charged with murder. He says they were tracked down using information received from acquaintances of the two on the downtown mall. The chief describes Rose and Jones as street people and inseparable. He says it is not known but suspected that the victim and suspects knew each other.
We don't know exactly what the association between the 2 suspects and Melissa are, but we think they may have known each other from associations at the Eugene Mall.
19-year-old Ron Griffith, a regular on the downtown mall, backs that up.
Jason and Melissa were going to go together at one time, but it didn't work out.
Griffith says he last saw Rose and Meyer together about 3 weeks ago, but that they had only known each other for a day. He alleges that after the murder, he received information linking the two.
I had some inside, a person come in and tell me that these 2 guys had told her they had done it because one was her ex-boyfriend.
Griffith says he went to authorities with this information, which police would neither confirm nor deny. Meanwhile, authorities would not discuss a motive in the case and say it is not known if drugs were a factor. Acquaintances of Rose on the Eugene Mall describe him as a heavy user of methamphetamine. Maureen Shine, KMTR News Oregon.
Springfield Police Captain Jerry Smith is in Show Low tonight and hopes to return with the suspects tomorrow. Meanwhile, authorities maintain there is no apparent link between this murder and the slaying of 17-year-old Candace Roy, whose body was found in Santa Clara June 6th. Police report nothing new in that investigation. In a Eugene federal court, another case is winding down, and it appears to be a showdown between psychiatric experts. 23-year-old Robert Knott is on trial for the kidnapping last January of a Yachats couple and their child during a 10-day rampage of abductions, robberies, and assaults. Knott is pleading innocent by means of insanity. The past 2 days of testimony in the case have been a face-off between mental health experts for both sides. Closing arguments are scheduled for tomorrow. A dangerous chemical spill in downtown Springfield is cleaned up tonight. Today, it forced the evacuation of the 5th and South A Street area. A fire captain noticed methanol leaking from a tanker car on the Southern Pacific tracks this morning. The substance used by the nearby Boreen chemical plant is a highly flammable ingredient in the production of glue. Crews arrived and sealed off the scene. The leak was traced to a faulty pressure valve on the tanker. There were no injuries. Meanwhile, a plan for responding to emergencies involving hazardous materials is currently being put together by the City of Eugene. By law, communities are required to have such a plan which addresses issues including evacuation, notification, treatment, and containment in the event of a hazardous materials crisis. Eugene is working with local organizations which would have a supporting role in such an incident.
Some of these requirements all come out of the federal government on incidents like happened like Bhopal over in India, where a large number were hurt and injured and no place to treat them, no place to take them to. So the federal government wants to make sure each local community can handle an emergency and what they're going to do when the emergency happens.
The city's response plan will include input from area hospitals, the news media, police and fire departments, as well as the Department of Environmental Quality. 2 Lane County commissioners are calling for staff cuts and supply reductions totaling $500,000. That's in response to next year's anticipated $2 million budget shortfall with bigger deficits on the way. Every revenue source the county depends upon is either falling or staying the same. Officials hope that by implementing budget cuts, they won't be forced to increase the amount of money Lane County residents pay out of pocket.
We collect only 3% of the entire property tax bill that every taxpayer pays here in Lane County. The average homeowner pays us less than $100 a year for county services. Everything else that we pay for county services comes out of timber receipts or gas taxes or cigarette taxes. Those kind of revenues are up and down depending.
There are a variety of ways to skin this cat. What is needed is some political will at the county commissioner level, directing staff with a game plan, and then making that thoughtful and careful decision making.
Neither Russ nor Cornacchia is confident that a real estate transfer tax will provide them enough money